Hello there, it's your Wisconsin Wine Guy. It is Saturday. You know what that means if it's Saturday. We're going to do a virtual wine or winery or wine regional tour. Now, I love doing these tours. These tours are fantastic because, during lockdown, of course, throughout the country, some places are opening up, but some states are opening up, but there are some businesses within those states, as more specifically certain wineries or maybe regional areas, they're not opening as fast. But we wish them a speedy recovery and everything gets open and we can get back to drinking wine at the wineries amongst the vines. So now today's show, we're going to be going to Wisconsin. More specifically, we're going to visit the Door County region. So this is a accumulation of a couple of wineries, a business, and just an overall video about Door County. So without further ado, let's get this party started. I have my wine ready so I can enjoy the video with you. There's my sip. So take it away. Here we go. Give me a minute here.
In the history of people, wine is always made where fruit is grown. And obviously, Door County is famous for cherries, and it's also the largest apple growing area of Wisconsin. So obviously there's going to be wineries that pop up next to it. That's just, if you look back at anything in history where fruit grows, wine is made right next to it.
Door County's a really great experience because of our wineries are so close together. Within the 15 to 20 minutes apart, you're at a different winery. And that's very unique, much like Napa or maybe the Finger Lakes up in New York. Door County is special that our wineries not only are quality and they're ever changing in what the wines are producing, from sweets, and now they're doing a lot of dries to even sparkling wines. That in itself is very unique to have such a diverse type of wine. And the uniquest thing is they're very close. You don't have to drive an hour and a half to 2 hours away. Within 20 minutes, you're at another winery, and a whole different feel in one winery to the next.
We do sit on 100 acres of fruit, from cherries, apples, pears, the grapes. And so we utilize a lot of the fruit that we grow right here on the property in our wines. Every bottle has its own story because so much hard work and hardship has went into growing that particular bottle of wine.
It's all about our fantastic friend yeast consuming sugar. And cherries, apples, grapes, they all have sugar for the yeast to eat, and it converts it into alcohol. You're just going to get different characteristics in different aromas, different palates, and things like that. Now, fruit that you eat doesn't necessarily transition to fruit that you would want to make into wine. So if you go out and eat a Cabernet Sauvignon grape, it doesn't taste very good. As vice versa, if you eat a Thompson seedless grape that you buy from the grocery store, it doesn't make very good wine. This area is prime for grape growing. It's just not prime for grapes that were traditionally grown in France.
In my opinion, all of the wineries have stepped it up over the last 10, 12, 15 years. Just because the market has changed, the wine market has changed drastically.
Door County tourism and Door County wine industry are like a perfect fit. Not many tourists or wine aficionados will come up here just to visit one winery. They want to make their trip worthwhile, so it would probably pay off if we got together and had a united organization that could help and further the wine industry in Door County and Wisconsin. So in about 2005, we had a meeting of all the wineries in Door County, and there was a lot of interest. And a year or so later, we then decided to form the Door County Wine Trail, the purpose of which is to further the wine industry in Door County.
All of the wineries definitely offer something unique, something local, something that a wine tourist could come to Door County and say, hey, they've got a great wine growing region.
If we give people a unique, one-of-a-kind experience, we believe they will return again and again.
You're going to see locally grown Wisconsin, Door County made wines, and they're going to be very high quality. I can guarantee that.
Hi, I'm Jeannie from Green Bay, and we've taken the day off of work to come up to Red Oak Winery and enjoy some great wine. I am tasting the Cabernet, and everything we've tasted so far is fabulous. And this one is too.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Andy Wagoner from Red Oak Vineyards. The grapes that we grow at Red Oak in our vineyard here in Door County are called a St. Pepin and a Marquette. The Marquette grape is a red grape that we make a blush from. And we press it off early on so it does not get a deep red color, but rather it has the pink color that it has to it. The characteristics of the wine are a floral and semi-sweet. The St. Pepin is also a semi-sweet wine. It's a white wine. It's one of the most popular wines in Door County at our winery because it's a semi-sweet. It's Door County grown. It's a Door County grape, and it's made here at our winery. Red Oak Vineyard has a 5-acre vineyard in which 3.5 acres are planted with St. Pepin, LaCrosse, and Brianna, which are all white grapes. And it's those grapes that make the blend of our St. Pepin wine. The other 1.5 acres is planted with the Marquette grape that we currently make the Marquette Blush and our St. Pepin. Red Oak Vineyard is one of the few wineries in Wisconsin that has a winery and a vineyard and is producing wine actually from the vineyard. My winemaking technique for the semi-sweet wines is that the fermentation process can take about 3 to 5 weeks. I ferment it very slow to preserve the fruity characteristics of those types of wines. The experience at Red Oak is somewhat unique compared to other wineries because we invite people to come in, sit down, and enjoy our wines slowly so they can evaluate them and come up to their own conclusions about what wines they will like. We allow them to taste in the winery so they can experience the barrels and the tanks and actually see the processes go on. For instance, if we're bottling, they'll actually see us bottle. If we're crushing and destemming, they'll see us doing that. Red Oak's philosophy is that you get to participate in the winemaking process as you enjoy tasting the wines. And so we have a transparency policy so everybody can see what's going on at Red Oak. Please stop in at Red Oak as you're coming in and out of Sturgeon Bay. We're right off of Highway 5742, just outside of Sturgeon Bay.
In 1974, Door Peninsula Winery was opened by 2 gentlemen.
They had a couple of vats of wine downstairs in the cellar. We were small. We made only dry and sweet cherry wine and dry and sweet apple wine. Wine tasting did not take a real long time in those years.
In 1984, my parents purchased the winery. My folks were really interested in wine, but never owned a winery before, never really made wine before. Instead of just apples and cherries, we started doing blackberries, we started doing raspberry, we started doing grape wine, started bringing some juices from California and producing the wines here. The winery just kept expanding and growing. In 1994, I came on board. And now, 24 years later, here I am, and the winery is doubled in size 10 times in that amount of time. The schoolhouse was a 2-room schoolhouse that had approximately 60 students in it. Grades 1st through 8 went to school here.
We did keep the original 1-room schoolhouse structure. So when you walk in the front door, it still has the same features. They really did teach, 1st grade through 4th on one side and the other grades on the other side. We still have people around that went to school here.
We walked to Carlsville school in the good weather. One year was especially memorable because that year the roads were all blocked and they still had a couple of sleigh buses drawn by horses stashed away, and they took one of those out and took us to school.
There's books and pictures of the old schoolhouse and the students. It's a really good local connection. You walk into the wineries, first thing you're going to see is the array of food products that we offer here. One of the staples is our oils. We have a wide variety of yummy oils and balsamics. We are proud to have homemade fudge. We have lots of different flavors, and those are available for sampling every day.
I was a winemaker here for a while, and as time went on, to take the winery to another level, we needed to get somebody in here who really knew wine.
We are in this really unique geographic area here in Door County and Door Peninsula and all along the lake, and it's an American viticulture area called the Wisconsin Ledge. The Wisconsin Ledge is home to many native grape varieties that you see growing everywhere. They really like our soil, they really like the climate that the lake provides for them, and what happens is it captures all these floral and fruit characteristics right in the grape itself, and it makes itself. By the time we're crushing the grapes and putting the yeast inside of it, we already know what it's going to be in the back end. Door Peninsula from day one was using locally sourced fruit that was growing all around us, and that's what this facility was built for, and that's what it's striving to do, is to take in as much of the local Wisconsin fruit as possible. We are Wisconsin's largest producer of wine from Wisconsin grown fruit. It's local fruit that grows so well in this area. We bottle all of our wines right here in-house. The wine will be pumped into our bottling machine, where each one of the bottles will be filled under pressure, so there's no oxygen allowed into that system at all. Wine blends are really coming back, and they used to be the main way to make wine. It's just like when you're making food, you usually just don't use salt, and you just don't use water, just use bread. You combine things to build the product in front of you. We're always trying to get a style more than emphasize the grape. And that's a big part about blends. It's trying to blend that grape to a style instead of showcasing the actual grape itself. Blackberry Merlot is one of our oldest blends here at Door Peninsula Winery, and it's exactly what's in the namesake. It came about because Merlot itself usually has a blackberry characteristic to it. It's a great wine because it both has the structure of a Merlot, but the brightness of blackberry. Right away when the United States became a country, cider was the #1 drink. Everyone was drinking cider, so we're rediscovering this product that we enjoyed. When we started to do the research on the cider and found out how they were making their cider and with what apples they were making them with, we found these old trees, specifically grown because of their ability to make great cider.
I feel that we'd like to show you what we're doing, how we do it. It gives people a bond, it connects them. People really enjoy getting to know you, getting to know how you do it.
We have a very sophisticated bottling operation. People can see how that's done. We have a very large expanded winemaking cellar now, and we go in there and we explain what's done in there and all the aging. That's very, very impressive. And then, of course, we end up with going to the distillery now, too. That has been added in recent years. And then we end up here at the bar with our wine tasting. So it's really a nice tour experience for people.
On the distilling end, Kyle Thomas he worked in the wine department with us for a few years. We got into distilling and thought it would be a good fit for him.
We started with the white liquors, the vodkas, gin, cherry vodka. We could do some flavored vodkas. Our main goal was to get into the brown products, but all alcohol is actually clear. So you need to barrel age your products to get that color into that product. This distillery up here is basically our setup for whiskey production. And behind me over here, the little stainless tank is our mash tun. And one of the first steps in the process is to fill the mash tun with water. And then I dump in a certain amount of grain, convert the starches in the grain to fermentable sugars by heating that up to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time. After that process is done, I need to run it through the tube-and-tube glycol chilling unit. That will chill the mash down so I can pump it in my fermentation tank. Then I can actually pitch my yeast when the temperature gets right in the mash. That'll ferment for about 7 to 10 days. After that's done fermenting, I can rack the mash liquid off of the fermentation into the giant copper pot still that we see from Italy back behind me here. And that heats up the alcohol, evaporates it, condenses it. Then I can capture it in the little stainless tote that's back here. to go on to further processing with that product. We started distilling about late 2010, 2011. And in 2014, we won one of our biggest awards, which was a double gold medal for our gin in a San Francisco World Spirit Competition.
Yeah, this is a high energy place to work, whether you're upstairs in the tasting room with all the people that are around, or downstairs with all the moving parts, the pumps, the wines, the fermentation that's happening. There's always something happening at this winery.
I think this is a shining star in our county. The employees here love what they do. They want to make sure that when people are up here and they're on vacation, that they're getting a great experience, and they're up here to have fun, and we want to make sure we're part of that.
That's really why we've been so successful. I don't know, I tell people a lot that I'm living a dream. I'm around great people, and it's an exciting business.
I'm AJ Frank with Door Coney Trolley. This is our 16th year in business here at the new Door Coney Trolley station. We run 11 different type of tours. From our shortest scenic tour, lighthouse tour includes the 3 lighthouses that we tour, a great wine tour. We take you to 4 wineries, a wonderful lunch. Then we run some other unique ones on selective days and evenings. Our beer and burger tour. On Sunday, we run our Bloody Mary and brunch tour. We run a variety of ghost tours, all which have been nationally recognized by the USA Today. Very popular tours in the evening on ghost tours. And then we even run winter and spring tours, called the Winter Wonderland and Spring Blossom Tour. So we run a variety of tours throughout the season, in addition to our great retail and full coffee bar and specialty drinks here at the station. Door Coney Trolley is 1 mile north of Egg Harbor on Highway 42.
Wow, that was very, very interesting. So I hope you enjoyed the tour of Door County, Wisconsin, as I always enjoyed a tour of Door County, Wisconsin, whether it be watching on a video or visiting in person. Now, I only showcased a couple of wineries in this video, but there are close to a dozen wineries, or almost a dozen wineries in Door County for you to visit. In fact, if you're from Wisconsin, old school, it tells you that Door County began in Kewaunee, Algoma area. So you have a few more wineries in that area, in addition to starting in Sturgeon Bay, going up to Ellison Bay, which is all considered the Door County area for that region. So it's your Wisconsin wine guy saying, as always, let your palate be the guide. I'm going to be enjoying the fresh daisies, the sun is shining, my glass of wine, my bottle of wine, and I'm going to continue to enjoy this day. I'll see you next Saturday when we visit more wineries and wine regions. Bye. That's good.